And right now it's time for you to meet our special guest. We've watched her sing and dance and play the accordion, and Lawrence Welk always called her the queen of the honky-tonk, ragtime, and boogie-woogie piano. That could only be Joanne Castle. Hi, Joanne.
How you doing, Mary Lou?
Good to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Does this show bring back some memories for you?
Oh, a lot of memories, especially the things when we used to do together. You're doing the same thing every week, playing the piano is great, don't get me wrong, but when I got to do things with the other cast members, I had more fun. It was like, you know, we were like kids doing something together, even though it was kind of rehearsed. But I loved that. That was my favorite part of working on the Lawrence Welk Show.
Now, you grew up in Bakersfield.
Bakersfield, California. I lived in Ventura, California. And when I was 13 years old, I knew I wanted to be in show business. So we just continued south and we went to Los Angeles.
Now, your mom was a Harvey girl.
Yes, she was. That's where she met my father. He was a railroad man, and he was a brakeman first, then a conductor. And they met on the train. He ran across her, and she was eating popcorn, and he bumped into her, and he picked up her popcorn, and that was it.
That sounds like a Judy Garland movie. So how did you happen to start playing?
Well, when I was 3 years old, we started with the singing and dancing. There was a teacher around the corner, and she was starting a studio, so she started me with the singing and dancing. And I used to get up in the morning at 6 a.m., and they tell me I used to bang on the piano and wake them up. And my father turned to my mother one morning and said, "We've got to get that girl lessons."
So you did?
So we did.
So that was classical music.
That was classical music. There was a teacher who also lived around the corner who taught music, so I just had to walk across just around the corner, and I started with my piano lessons.
So then where did the accordion come into it?
Well, there was a man who also, when we moved to Ventura, California, he started a studio there, and my parents thought it'd be nice if I played the accordion because with the accordion, I could move around more. The piano, it's stationary. So I started with the accordion, and in 2 weeks I was playing. I mean, if you play the piano, you can just about play any instrument. I want to tell that to everybody out there, especially youngsters, because if you start with the piano and you want to play something else later, it's so much easier to start with the piano.
Now, you told me your dad brought home the maple leaf rag.
Yes, he did. He brought home the music, and he insisted I learn it. And I thought it was very tough, and it was hard.
It's one of the hardest.
It's one of the hardest, and I was 12, 13 years old, and he used to come home, and he would insist I play it for him. So if I didn't get any better within 4 bars, he knew it, because he played cornet in junior high school. So he knew music. So I finally learned it, and I thought, oh, goodness, he'll get off my back. So as soon as I finished learning that song, he brought home the dill pickle rag. And he started bringing home all these rags. And
so did you like ragtime?
Yeah, I did, because the classical was all I was playing. And then I started playing boogie woogie. And people like to hear a novelty, so I play ragtime. And especially for people his age and older, they thought, like, 13-year-old playing ragtime was very unusual.
Sure. Yeah. Now, were you really working in Las Vegas at 17 years old?
Yes, I looked much older. My mother made my costumes, and I had an agent, and I got a quartet, 4 men, of quartet, and we played the Dunes Hotel in Las Vegas and the Fremont Hotel. The first time I played was Fremont, and I worked opposite Wayne Newton, and he and we worked till 4 in the morning, and we had to do 6 shows a day. We started actually at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the last show was at 4 a.m.
That's a long day.
Long day, especially I didn't drive. My mother would pick me up, and we went as sisters. So they'd think I was older, so I had to learn to call her by her first name. So I was calling my mother Dotsy for years.
Now, how did you happen to meet Lawrence Welk the first time?
The first time, he came to Ventura, California. He was on local television there for 4 years in L.A., and his very first appearance with the band and everyone was in Ventura, and he and Myron Flourne, and then it was Roberta Lynn, the Champagne lady. They all came to Ventura, and we snuck ourselves backstage, my parents and I, and we got to meet. I met Lawrence, and I met Myron, and I met Roberta Lynn, and the very next day, Myron asked me to go to a music store where he'd be signing autographs, so we naturally said, we'll see you there, and my mother brought the camera, and I took a picture with Myron, and he absolutely remembers it constantly. He remembered it all these years. And of course, now, of course, we know we've lost Mr. Myron Florin, the great legend on the accordion. But when I was taking this picture, the best part about it is I'm as tall as he is at 12.
12 years old.
And my flat shoes, I'm as tall as he is, yes.
Now, I read that Joe Feeney had something to do with you getting on the show.
Oh, yes. I didn't know this till I met Joe Feeney and got on the show. But what we sent, my first album I ever made, I was 18 on the accordion, and that was sent as an audition. And my picture was on the front. Of course, I looked 35 years old then, but I was only 18 when this picture was taken. We sent it to Lawrence Welk, and I understand that Joe Feeney did the auditioning, and those that he heard that weren't that good, he would put aside, and those that were good, he thought Lawrence should hear, he would take to Lawrence Welk. Well,
He was the screener.
He screened my record and said I was just one of those that he picked, and so he throws it up to me all the time that without me you would have never made the Lawrence Welk show.
So did that put you on the show?
Put me on the show. I didn't have to make an audition. That was my audition. But really, I found out the reason I went on the Lawrence Welk show was because someone said she also plays honky-tonk and ragtime piano. Because I was doing a local television show at the same time, and I was playing honky-tonk piano. And so that's how I got on the show, not just because of the accordion, because Myron was already there.
Sure.
So when I went on, I did a duet with Big Tiny Little, and
you both sat on the same bench.
Of course, in those days, we both fit on the same bench. Today, it would never work.
Now, it was interesting that Charlie Pride was the special guest on this program. You discovered him long before.
Yes, we were on the road, the Lawrence Welk show, and when we had time, a lot of times, we were there 5 days at State Fair in Great Falls, Montana. So Joe Feeney, Jack Emmel, and I, we decided to go to this big country western place, and we heard there was this singer there that's standing out. They didn't tell us who it was. So we went there, and comes on stage is Charlie Pride, and it was very unusual in the early 60s to see a black man with a cowboy hat singing
Sure.
country tunes. And he sang great. He had a great personality. And we said, this would be great on the Lawrence Welk show. Lawrence Welk is looking for something like this, somebody different. So Jack Emmel was the associate producer at the time. So we took it upon telling, Jack, you got to tell Lawrence. And Jack did. And next thing you know, he was in California, and he did special guests on the Lawrence Welk show. He had people look in. They did. They signed him to a contract, and the rest is history.
Your 20th birthday was a very special event for you.
Well, I was on the Lawrence Welk show on a week-to-week basis, and I guess everybody had that sort of thing. It was called auditioning, but you're on television to see how the public likes you. And all he had was the Lennon sisters, and Alice Lawn had just quit. And so there was no Champagne Lady, so I was a little bit different. So he wanted to see how I'd go over. So I was on the fourth week. Lawrence Welk came to me and he said, just before I went on the air, he said, I'd like to mention how old you are. He said, and tell the people you're 19 years old, because this is unusual. I said, oh, you can't do that. And he said, why? I said, because if you announce that I'm 19, I said, and you don't hire me, I said, I have to go back to doing what I do, and I play a lot of nightclubs around the country, and you have to be 21 to do that. My mother and I would travel, and we had fake ID and all that, but it was a great experience, I'm telling you now. But anyway, I said, if you don't hire me, and he looked at me really strange, and I thought, oh, that's it. I'm not going to, Well, the following week was my 20th birthday. And I went on the show, did my number. When I turned around to smile at the crowd, the audience, and the camera, Lawrence Welk came out with this huge birthday cake with a honky-tonk piano right on the icing. And the whole band, they sang happy birthday. And I just started crying because it was, and I'm on television, I'm saying to myself, I'm supposed to be an adult here. I'm crying in front of all these men musicians, and I'm 20, I should be an adult. And it was half like trying to hold my tears back and crying, and he hired me right on the air, and it was so wonderful. I really, really wanted to be on the Lawrence Welk show since I was 12 years old.
So that was a dream come true for you.
Dream come true. I used to lie in bed, seeing myself being announced by Lawrence Welk. But I didn't know how it was going to work out because he had Myron Florin on the accordion and he had Big Tiny Little on the piano. But I just saw Lawrence Welk sing Joanne Castle.
What's the greatest lesson you learned from Lawrence?
Well, one that comes right to my mind right away is be on time and know your craft and be prepared. And he was always, strict on that. We all know that. Be on time, know your craft, and don't underestimate your audience.
You love your audience, don't
Your
you?
audience, really, and always take time for them, because without them, I feel terrible about some of these stars that won't sign an autograph, and after we work for them. Without them, we don't have a job. And I'm just saying, these people are kind enough. I know they come up to you when you're eating and things, but they're so thrilled. They don't realize, that you do have a life, but still in all, they're fans, and always treat them with respect, and don't underestimate them. Don't ever and be on time.
Well, we love you, Joanne.
Well, I love doing this.
You brought so much joy to so many people. We're so grateful.
I hope I can continue.
And we're so grateful to all of you for sharing your evening with us. So until next time, as Lawrence Welk always said, keep a song in your heart.